Caruana faces MVL in the sixth round of MC Invitational Tournament 2020 that takes place at Chess 24. Let's look at the game. Caruana with white pieces 4 and MVL playing d5, not giving his preparation away. c4, c6, and this is Slav, the modern main line, and this shallop defense by playing bishop to f5, taking this bishop out away first before playing e6, knight c3, e6, and this is all standard with bishop going back to g6, preempting f3 first and then retreating back to g6. So MVL is still playing orthodox. Queen c7, defending the pawn, b7. So all's well up to now. Caruana exchanges, and now knight trades the bishop still, but it could be quite risky castling here because now queen and rook lining up on this pawn, very tricky. So we don't see Caruana castling kingside. I hope so. Let's go through the game. So he castles queenside, a6, king b1, just getting away from the line of queen, knight c6, rook c1, rook b8, bishop d3. Now it's very interesting that Caruana is offering this pawn, but you have to remember that with taking this pawn it can also create, notice you have to trade this rook as well, either here or here. So this rook might come here and might start challenging this black king on these lines. The knight might try to cover, but then g4, tucking this knight back, still a good compensation for the pawn. Rook takes h2, going into the line, of course not taking because of queen takes, and it starts disturbing these pieces on the 7th rank. Knight goes back. Now rook takes, recapture, b5. So MVL pushing his queenside pawns, but the problem is there are only 2 pawns, so still not good enough counterplay. e4, striking in the center, queen b6, now pressurizing on this pawn. Queen tucks back, so he can take the pawn, but knight b4, bishop takes, and now e5, knight d7 and f4, knight f8. Probably he could have tried queen a5 in this position with the ideas of putting this knight here and then here, would have been very good. Nevertheless, knight f8, and now g4. So Caruana is also starting to build some pressure now. That's a good move, just spinning this knight here, keeping a pressure on the last rank. Bishop c2, just tucking back. You might see queen landing here, putting more pressure on this pawn. You will see f5 break. Now f5 by MVL to stop that f5, and e takes f6 en passant. Pawn takes, now bishop takes, the knight can't take because of the pin. So king tucks back, bishop tucks back, and now king b8. So king is running, beg your pardon, running here and then here, so running towards the queen side. So at the moment black king is safe in this position. Knight e2, just trying to bring its forces, and now queen c7, so that this knight keeps an eye on this pawn so that it doesn't move. a4, exchanging. Knight d7, rook h7, and now knight b6. In this position, well, Caruana played bishop b3. In this position, he could have played queen b3. Now, if black isn't careful enough, he can land in trouble. Let's say if make some waiting move, then there is a beautiful tactic in this position, and that is rook takes e7. This queen is overloaded, and if queen takes, things might turn ugly for black because of takes. And of course, if you go here, then bishop c6 is mate. So things can turn very ugly if he had played queen b3 in this position. Here goes bishop b3. Still not bad. Queen d6. Tucking away from this line. Very important indeed. Queen d3. Challenging a6. Knight c4. This was exchanged. And now queen e3. You can see in this position there are so many weaknesses in black position. This pawn is loose. This is still defended, but these two pawns, they stand shaky, and also this bishop is at wrong place right in front of the queen. So if there comes a tactic such as this, might see f5 striking and things can turn ugly. But this pawn, once this pawn drops, then this rook also looks a little bit shaky, so very risky proposition for black already. And also not to forget this exposed king, as we talked about in the previous videos. Not too much pawn cover also. Well, king is standing safe behind the b2 pawn, so that's a very good compensation. Rook c7, knight comes, rook b7, and now f5 break. In this position, he could have played g5 and could have tried to create an outright passed pawn in this position. It would have been okay. The pawn can be tracked, but still a passed pawn. It has come at the 5th rank, almost 3 squares away from the queening square. So it could have been a basic counterplay, but f5. So this was taken. And now bishop d8. It's trying to exchange rooks, which Caruana gleefully accepted. Knight a4. And in this position, I thought he could have played queen c6 with the ideas of if knight c5, then king a7. The king is still safe. It has no danger. This bishop does a good job of covering this square, so queen cannot come in on the 7th rank. And if it tries to come like this or through this, then still this queen can cover this 7th rank. Maybe not good for black, but still a defendable position. But he goes king a7, which allows white to raid at the 7th rank. And now queen f4, a terrible mistake in this position. He could have simply continued with bishop d8, and this queen, once this queen retreats, then again there might be a chances of repetition. But queen f4 loses instantly with queen c8. Mate threatened, piece threatened, also already, although it's defended, but you have to defend this as well, and there's no way that any other piece would be able to defend this mate, and this bishop will stand loose on itself. MVL tried queen f1 check, but this was all in vain. And in this position, MVL resigned. There is absolutely no defense to this. And if black tries this, we might lose the bishop. So, one game down. Caruana strikes in the first game. Let's see what happens at the rest of the games. Thanks for watching.